Have you ever met a man smarter than the whole government of the United States? Charlie Munger believes his wisdom could have delivered a far better economy than what federal decisions yielded. If placed side by side, he outsmarted the government in decision-making. Munger was never wrong wherever he saw missteps and trouble, and this, slowly but surely, turned him a billionaire. Today, he is warning the world about a massive recession that threatens to change a generation, and nobody seems to be listening. But how is that even possible? Join us as we dive into Charlie Munger's warning about the impending economic crisis. Let's start from the beginning. Who exactly is Charlie Munger? Well, Charlie Munger was born in Omaha, Nebraska. As a young man, he worked at Buffett & Son, Warren Buffett's grandfather's grocery store, while he was still in high school. In early 1943, he dropped out of college and enlisted as a second lieutenant in the United States Army Air Corps. After performing exceptionally well on the Army General Classification Test, he was assigned to the town of Pasadena, California, and was subsequently ordered to pursue a degree in meteorology at Caltech. Munger used the GI Bill, a law that gave benefits to war veterans to get better access to education, to achieve graduate education. With time, he has become well known in the financial industry for his investing expertise and deep understanding of economics. Today, he is the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, sitting next to his lifelong friend and fellow investor, Warren Buffett. Charlie Munger is now seen as an authority in understanding the direction in which the whole economy will go, and his approach to investing is based on business fundamentals. He has famously called cryptocurrencies stupid before, as he attributes no value to them. But what made him rich, and what gained him his reputation in the investor community? Munger made his fortune by investing with Warren Buffett, but that is only a small part of the story. Munger, 98, embodies the American dream, but he has also witnessed the best and worst of humanity. Charlie did not receive a golden ticket to success that guaranteed him a prosperous life. Instead, he achieved it by overcoming adversities as big as the Great Depression, World War II, divorce, blindness, and others. Yet, Charlie never retreated or felt sorry for himself. It says a lot about the man. He overcame many obstacles to achieve success. So, if you find yourself in a difficult situation, you can seek advice from a man who has lived for nearly a century. How did he get into investing, despite living through one of the worst economic downturns in history? Charlie went to work for the prestigious law firm Wright & Garrett the moment he received his law degree, where he was offered a starting salary of $275 per month, which in real terms was a nice sum of money back then. In the 1950s, when Charlie was practicing law, he noticed that the truly wealthy people were business owners. According to Charlie's biography, he had a lifelong interest in acquiring wealth and desired freedom for the right reasons. Like Warren, I had a considerable passion to get rich, not because I wanted Ferraris. I wanted the independence. I desperately wanted it. Charlie Munger. Most of Charlie's savings were then invested, so he took out a loan to finally start his first own business, a company making transformers called Transformer Engineers. This big bet would serve as Charlie's crash course in business management. Early on, after the Korean War, Transformer Engineers started to lose steam, so he was forced to intervene, cut, and restructure. Charlie spoke on this in his biography, Damn Right, saying, "That was a bad business when the war was over. It was a lot of struggle, a lot of nerve pain. We damn near lost everything. We finally made it work out, but not fabulously. But we eventually got a respectable return on our investment." Charlie Munger. He went on to say, "The difference between a good business and a bad business is that good businesses throw up one easy decision after another. The bad businesses throw up painful decisions time after time." Charlie Munger. His initial $100,000 investment yielded a 300% return. Definitely not bad for a beginner. He packed up with his family and headed west, where he quickly found success in the real estate market and amassed a fortune. In California, Munger saw a treasure trove of potential. California was the nation's second fastest growing state in the 1960s. In 1961, he connected with a fellow attorney named Otis Booth. The two became fast friends and partners in the legal industry. After receiving some land as a bequest from a relative, Otis sought Charlie's counsel on how to best put it to use. After much insistence from Munger, they decided to turn the land into apartment buildings. Otis agreed, and the two of them ended up making 500% on their $100,000 investment by 1967. Their strategy was best captured by Charlie's famous quote, "Lush landscaping. That is what sells houses. You spend money on trees, and you get it back triple." Charlie Munger. Today, Charlie Munger reflects on his time spent in the real estate industry with Otis, saying, "When it was over, I had $1.4 million as the result of my real estate involvement," said Munger. "That was a lot of money at that time. I did a total of 5 projects, then stopped." Due to their friendship, they decided to found Munger, Tolles and Olson LLP, which is still going strong today. However, Charlie's newfound success as a lawyer and real estate developer didn't persuade him to quit his day job. Rather, it confirmed his conviction that it's crucial to always be prepared with a backup plan. He continued with his legal practice throughout the 1960s and until 1973. In 1962, Charlie started taking his career as an investor way more seriously. He founded Wheeler, Munger & Company by utilizing his network of professional contacts. This particular brokerage firm was active on the NASDAQ Pacific. Warren Buffett complimented Munger's success at the time, famously saying, "Munger's investment partnership generated compound annual returns of 19.8% during the period of 1962 to 75 period, compared to a 5% annual appreciation rate for the Dow." Warren Buffett. But what does Charlie Munger think of the economic situation today? While speaking with Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief Andy Serwer in an exclusive interview about the serious implications of rising inflation in the United States, he said, "Inflation is a very serious subject. You could argue it is the way democracies die," citing the fall of the Roman Republic, the rise of Adolf Hitler, and Latin America as examples. He refers to the fall of the Roman Empire following years of inflation, saying, "Eventually the whole damn Roman Empire collapsed. So the current situation is the biggest long-range danger we have, aside from nuclear war." He cited additional historical examples, including Greek city-states and Japan, the latter of which he said was another example of a country that had been severely hampered by mismanaging inflation, but is still existing as a civilized nation today. By comparing the government's response to the pandemic, which was bigger than it's ever been before in the history of the United States, Munger offered mild criticism of the U.S. government's handling of high inflation. The director of the Congressional Budget Office and other experts too have pointed out that the injection of cash into the economy by Congress and the Federal Reserve has likely saved the economy while also being a factor behind the current high prices. Pinned down demand and snarls in the supply chain are also contributing factors, but spending is a major one. On the left are those who believe corporations are taking advantage of the situation to price gouge or artificially raise prices. While the government meant well, Munger says that they threw so much money so fast that it is hard for the restaurants to get people to do the work. Munger appeared to be echoing the worries that the variety of government support, such as the now defunct expanded child tax credit, or a moratorium on student loans, has led some to suggest that workers may be reluctant to return to the workforce. Munger said of the government's action, "But I don't criticize it. It is challenging to make such choices when time is of the essence." Munger had this dissuasive advice for those considering storing their wealth in currency for the foreseeable future. Assuming the currency devalues to zero over the next century would be a safe bet for investors. His words, "So far, that has been my best guess." But is Munger right about his predictions? Munger elaborated on his inflation remarks at the annual meeting of the Daily Journal Corporation, his publishing and technology company, saying, "But we are flirting with serious trouble." In his words, "What we're getting is wretched excess and danger for the country. Everybody loves it because it's like a bunch of people getting drunk at a party. They're having so much fun getting drunk that they don't think about the consequences. Eventually, there will be considerable trouble because of the wretched excess. That's the way it usually worked in the past." He went on to provide more details about what he called wretched excess. Certainly, the great short squeeze in GameStop was wretched excess. I would argue venture capital is throwing too much money too fast, and there's a considerable wretched excess in venture capital and other forms of private equity. There's never been anything quite like what we're doing now. We do know from what's happened in other nations that if you try and print too much money, it eventually causes terrible trouble. we're closer to terrible trouble than we've ever been in the past. But it may still be a long way off. Since that meeting, the S&P 500 Trust ETF has returned negative 8.57%. However, it has not yet encountered the considerable trouble that Munger warned about. The wretched excess persisted in the following months or so, as some might argue, worsened. With Bitcoin down an additional 56% since Mr. Munger's comments, the crypto bubble has continued deflating, but the levels of money supply have remained largely unchanged since Mr. Munger's comments. The effects of all these excesses seem to have finally started to show, as spikes in inflation and GDP declines for 2 consecutive quarters now. Is this just the beginning of the recession that will change a generation? Or is it only a temporary correction of the markets?